Hello and good morning, everyone. So I will be presenting about outdoor learning spaces, and let me share my screen. All right, so I hope everyone can see this. Okay, so let's start. So again, good morning. I'm Aaron Lecciones, and I will be presenting a short introduction on outdoor learning spaces. I'm currently an assistant professor and director for the extension program at the College of Architecture at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. I am also a member of the Urban Design Studio Lab and Architectural Communication Studio Lab at the College of Architecture. Is it moving? All right, there. So I want to talk about outdoor learning spaces. First, what are outdoor learning spaces? Where do, you, where do we find these types of spaces? Who are its users? Second, why outdoor learning spaces? What can we learn from them? What are their benefits? Third, are there outdoor learning spaces for higher education? How do they look like? How did they make them? And lastly, fourth, what are the basic design considerations for outdoor learning spaces? We begin with what are excuse me, what are outdoor learning spaces? Outdoor learning spaces are any place where meaningful experiences can be had in and with nature and the environment. Originally, outdoor learning spaces were geared towards learning environments that nurtured an emotional connection with nature. And also, originally, it was geared towards younger students who benefited greatly in developing deep, lifelong appreciation for the natural world and how our human systems depended on it. Usually, learning outdoors meant understanding topics that were manifestly obvious outdoors, such as topics on birds, the water cycle, food webs, and others. However, outdoor spaces has also become a great place to learn about important topics such as public health, environmental awareness, and the role of society and nature. Many of the original goals of outdoor learning spaces focused on the positive behavioral change towards the environment as a result of the lasting impression, emotional connections, and a deeper level of understanding that comes with immersion outdoors. Today, outdoor learning places are anywhere students or adults can experience nature in a way that fosters the awareness and connection that leads to this understanding and respect. But is it just about only the environment? It is not. But the environment plays a big role in the unique benefits provided by outdoor learning environments. Outdoor learning spaces have shown to provide academic gains, especially in social science, mathematics, and the arts. A study in 2016, funded by Natural England, demonstrated numerous short and long term benefits of outdoor learning, ranging from more engagement and less stress to improved physical and psychological well being. Students were happier and enjoyed their lessons more. Teachers reported positive impacts on their teaching practice and reported higher job satisfaction. Outdoor learning was also seen to improve cognition, attention, and engagement in learning. Although most of the research conducted for outdoor learning spaces in the past come from studies on young children, the same benefits for students and the concept used are being applied for secondary and even post-secondary education. Outdoor spaces offer many opportunities to extend learning. Research, such as those by the American Institutes of Research or the Greater Good Science Center at the University of California, Berkeley, suggests that there are both educational and health related benefits to learning outdoors. For instance, breathing fresh air can clear students' minds and help them think by increasing the amount of oxygen their brains receive. Being outside can also reduce stress and improve students' emotional well being. Students are more motivated and retain information longer. These same techniques used for outdoor learning spaces are becoming more useful for higher education, especially in light of what many colleges and universities are experiencing during this COVID pandemic. So, this article asks the question we are all hoping to answer. Can outdoor learning help educational institutions transition to hybrid learning, where in person instruction would be less of a risk? With social distancing guidelines in place, many schools and libraries are looking outside for additional learning space. With the many benefits of outdoor learning spaces, they can be a great supplement to current indoor classrooms of schools, colleges, and universities. Outdoor classes have long been used, or outdoor classrooms have long been used as a response to earlier pandemics. In this article, the New York Times looks at how New York City in the early years of the 20th century used outdoor classes to combat the ravages of tuberculosis that was spreading across American cities. Following success in educational trends in Germany, two doctors implemented open-air schoolrooms to mitigate the transmission of the disease. No student in their classrooms got sick. Another New York Times article looks at schools that have already started using their outdoor spaces for learning, reusing basketball courts and any open field for classroom space. One problem the students had, though, was that Wi-Fi was usually not available or too weak in these new learning spaces. For us in hotter climates, one big concern would be the availability of shade and cool air. In some universities, like the UP Diliman campus, finding shade in a nice natural environment isn't such a big problem, though. However, for others, it can be. No matter though the outdoor space, learning outdoors, when done right, is a break not only under the sun, as in the caption in the picture shown, but the change in atmosphere from a virtual world of learning that students can welcome. So, how else can outdoor learning space look like? We know that outdoor learning spaces can be used for hands on experiential learning of nature itself. But it could also use nature as the backdrop to a conducive learning environment. Outdoor learning spaces are outdoor classrooms, simply spaces set up for group learning outdoors. During this COVID-19 pandemic, and especially as we take action to create a better normal and transition into hybrid learning approaches, what is most urgently relevant is that outdoor classrooms could give students and teachers that alternative space to conduct classes in person, in a space spread out with ample space to breathe, read, write, talk, and think together. As a reaction, many local governments and institutions have released guidelines on the design of outdoor learning spaces, all to address the challenge to reimagine and be creative with outdoor spaces as a way to support the safe return to in person instruction given the lower risk of virus transmission outdoors. One example is the Outdoor Learning Environments Design Guidelines developed by HMC architects for the Los Angeles County Office of Education, where their aim was not just to facilitate short term solutions in relation to the COVID pandemic, such as those to support the return to in person instruction, but to reinforce the momentum towards learning environments that enhance student success, wellness, and community. As many educational institutions shifted teaching online, increasing their use of technology, a host of new problems emerged, from issues in mental health to issues of the excessive amount of physical screen time. The need for learning spaces outdoors has become more appealing due to their benefits that deal with these issues. But where are these outdoor learning spaces? Outdoor learning spaces can be parks. Again, some campuses have much more of these green open spaces than others. but any park nearby can be used by schools, colleges, and universities as outdoor learning spaces. Nature centers can also be used as outdoor learning centers. Again, we might not have many, but I guess this time is ripe to have more of them. And outdoor learning spaces can be in our schools. And this is where we are now. As part of the Parametric Design and Digital Fabrication Learning series, a select few of the participants will continue on to a workshop to design furniture for such an outdoor learning space. Although primarily targeted for higher education institutions, the output of these workshops can very well be used for primary and secondary schools. But for the time being, let us look at some examples of what higher education institutions have been doing in terms of making outdoor learning spaces. From the US, such schools as the University of California, Davis, Providence College, the University of Kentucky, and even in campuses in the United Kingdom, there have been a rush to use outdoor learning spaces during this pandemic. Catchy names such as campus canopies try to convey a friendly atmosphere of learning and of bringing back life to campuses that have been devoid of life for over a year now. In Providence College, Rhode Island, just like in the University of Kentucky and many other universities across the United States, they make liberal use of tents and collapsible chairs. In the picture above, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, an associate professor at Providence College, teaches a course on education on the Smith Center quad on a warm November day. This is fine, all things considered, but as makeshift the classroom is, as fleeting this setup will be too. Since, how acceptable would pitching a tent at the quad be year-round? Designing outdoor learning spaces needs to integrate with its surroundings so that it can be left there without looking like a sore thumb. Here is another setup at Providence College, this time for teaching language instruction. A certain Dr. Bernhoff is teaching English at their college's Hickey Hall observation deck. Again, the different elements of the outdoor classroom, shade, seating, table, can be better or creatively conceptualized using parametric design so that they become more part of the place. Outdoor furniture that is active, dynamic, multifunctional. How about a seat that can act as a table or even as a wall for extra shade? Providence College uses all their outdoor space, which is sprinkled around their college to teach. We can do the same in our campuses. The picture on the left is Assistant Professor Lynn Curtis, who is teaching drawing fundamentals near an outdoor space in one of their halls. While the picture on the right shows another associate professor teaching digital photography for several students who elected to attend in person, as well as for others who are viewing remotely. Again, we see more use of tents, this time for college students who are part of a concert chorale. Outdoor learning spaces can also be used for other activities other than formal classroom learning. At the top right are students dancing during a hip-hop dance class at a specialized outdoor tent, this time at Ohio State University. A more permanent structure for outdoor learning called the Calabria Pavilion, also found at Providence College. Here, college students are being taught an introduction to a literature class. However, notice the chairs and the lack of table space. We can compare that with these learning pods at the University of Wollongong in Australia. These learning pods rely on trees for shade, providing much more connection with nature and all the benefits that come with it. With seating that is much more a part of the landscape, and with pods that provide both a space that functions as a table, also as a storage, seating, and outlets to power devices. Although these learning pods are used for informal learning, these adaptations can be employed and reconfigured in designs for use in more structured learning formats. This is another view of those learning pods. Spreading out outdoor learning spaces for both formal and informal instruction, designs that accommodate both small, informal groups as well as large formal classes across pockets of open green space around the campus. These are where parametric design can be put to good use in designing creative and responsive outdoor learning spaces. Here are more examples of their learning pods at the University of Wollongong. And that is the view of the same. As you can see, the designs they made, how it blends with nature, how it uses the shade, natural shade produced by the tree, how it is situated in the environment. And another example, and this time around, it incorporates the use of a man-made body of water. Yes. So very interesting place to have outdoor learning class. So again, we go to another school in the US, this time Indiana University. Here, as you can see from the pictures on the left, they once again use tents. These are understandably temporary outdoor classrooms. The same goes for Rice University, which pitch tents in their open spaces, as can be seen in the picture at the lower right. Will they be replacing these with more permanent and well-integrated versions? Other institutions such as William and Mary in Virginia are doing just that, planning more permanent change by designing more outdoor learning spaces and continuing to add permanent outdoor furniture around campus to encourage students to hold study meetings and casual gatherings outdoors rather than indoors. Again, these parametric designs could be for something as simple as curved seating for an outdoor learning space amongst a sustainable landscape such as this shown at the University of Illinois, Chicago. Parametric design can also be used, for example, on the pictures on the right. In the picture in the middle on the right, we have the Contemplate Pavilion in Chicago as well. And we also have the pavilion at the Nature Boardwalk, the lower right picture. So we have a lot of these examples of parametric design being used for pavilions and also for standalone furniture, but making them specific for outdoor learning spaces and higher education is something that I think our participants to the workshops can contribute to. So there are many spaces where we can place these. This is a picture of UP Diliman. At the left, of course, you see our academic oval. On the upper right is Betaway, so one of the very used pathways. So much space there to integrate some sort of outdoor learning space. And these Betaway is in between Melchor Hall and Palma Hall, one of the main buildings in the campus. And also, of course, we have the sunken garden, lots of open space there as well. So your parametric designs for furniture and other accessories to outdoor learning spaces can both be permanently integrated into the landscape or as portable as well. So again, there are many spaces where we can place these. We just need to design it. So for my last slide, a very short discussion on the basic design considerations for outdoor learning spaces. Evaluate your outdoor learning spaces by making sure that the space and its accessories are safe and the environment is free from preventable risks. You must consider risk zones. So these can be places that flood, places that are not well lit, are not seen publicly. We can call these socially defensible spaces. You must also consider surfacing, access to shade, weather, and the conditions of materials and equipment, since these influence maintenance and upkeep costs. Consider designs that are simple, that reduce the risk of missing or broken parts. Protrusions of nuts and bolts, rusting and chipping, and the reduction of sharp edges are preferable. Preferable too are designs that use materials that are weatherproof, have low upkeep, and are friendly to the environment. Designs must also be accessible, ergonomic, and usable by people with disabilities. Designs must consider weather, shade, and the comfort of users. Thus, designs that are portable, user customizable, but are free from the risks of theft are preferable. At the same time, your designs must be versatile. They must create the most value out of outdoor space. These should be multi-purpose spaces that can support many different types of activities. Equipping these spaces with a variety of furniture types allows for many users. Choosing agile, modular furniture that can be configured in multiple ways makes it simple to convert spaces from one use to another, or to create flexible groupings of different sizes. Designs must be comfortable for both formal and informal use. The designs for outdoor learning spaces, the landscape itself, and the furniture or accessories should be comfortable and easily accessible for places to sit down and talk, read, study, or look up information. Outdoor spaces should be furnished with comfortable, appealing seating that draws students to the space and encourages them to stay and talk or do work between classes or after school. And lastly, for outdoor learning to become a reality, students need tools and materials to support continuous learning. The use of technology can augment outdoor learning spaces. Think of provisions for power, renewable energy, the internet, as well as other facilities needed for teaching. These can be simple technologies as well, such as sidewalk chalk for writing on outdoor surfaces, or mini whiteboards or handheld clipboards. Consider these designs that integrate these or have a place to hold these accessories. You don't need to use large projection screens all the time. These are just but a few of the design considerations for outdoor learning spaces, and there are many more. So here are some resources about outdoor learning spaces that you can refer to, and we will be sharing this PowerPoint as well as the other slide decks to you for your reference. Thank you very much for listening, and I do hope that you have learned something from this introduction on outdoor learning spaces, especially for those who will be attending and participating in the workshops.